A bright light flashed in Earth's sky, so strong that even people on the dark side of the planet could see it. At first, people thought it was a comet or maybe a secret weapon test. But soon, something strange appeared in Earth's orbit. A glowing cube, bigger than any spaceship ever made by humans. The cube just floated there, spinning slowly, as if watching Earth. It made no sound, no signal, and it did not attack. Then, every satellite, every phone, every screen on the planet suddenly showed the same message. It was written in 200 alien languages, but also in English. Humanity, join the Grand Peace Summit or be removed. The message kept repeating. People panicked. World leaders called. Emergency meetings, news channels ran nonstop. Was this a trap, a joke, a test? Military forces got ready. Earth's best warships powered up, ready to defend the planet. But no alien attack came. The cube waited. In a high-level meeting at United Space Command, generals shouted for action, but one woman stood up calmly. Her name was Mira Cole, a young diplomat known for peace talks in the Mars colony crisis. She said, "Let me go, not with weapons, but with words." Everyone stared at her. "No weapons?" A general said, "That's suicide." But Mira looked at the cube on the screen and said, "If they wanted war, we'd already be dead." The president thought for a moment, then nodded. "Mira, you have 7 days. Take the ESS Harmony, and good luck." The ESS Harmony was Earth's newest diplomatic ship. It was fast, sleek, and covered in shiny silver armor, but it had no weapons. It was made for peace missions, not battle. The crew was small, a pilot, an engineer, a linguist, and Mira. The ship launched quietly, with no media, no celebration. This was not a mission to show power. It was a mission of survival. As the Harmony left Earth's orbit, the cube turned, and a new path of light opened in space. It was like a door had appeared. Mira's pilot looked at her, nervous. "Should we enter?" Mira nodded. "We came to answer the invitation." The ship entered the light and everything changed. Stars disappeared. They were in a strange part of space. No planets, no suns, just dark. Then, slowly, other ships appeared. First one, then hundreds, then thousands. Alien ships of every shape and size, some glowing, some floating like rocks. They didn't move, they didn't speak, but one by one, they disappeared again, cloaking, hiding, watching. No one greeted them, no one welcomed them. But one giant ship, bigger than Earth's moon, began to move. It sent no message, just floated toward them. The Harmony followed silently. The crew whispered, checking systems, watching for threats. But Mira sat still, eyes calm. "They are testing us," she said, "testing our fear." The giant ship led them to a structure that could only be the summit. It was shaped like a star with 5 arms, each arm a different color: gold, blue, red, green, black. It pulsed with energy. They docked at the smallest port, as if Earth was the smallest voice in the room. A soft light came on inside the dock. Showing the way, still no words, no greetings, Mira stepped forward, her voice steady. "Let's go." The pilot grabbed her arm. "What if they trap us in there?" Mira smiled. "Then let history show we came in peace." Inside the station, gravity was strange. It pulled in soft waves, like walking through water. Walls shifted colors as they walked, reflecting their emotions. Red when they feared, blue. When they hoped, finally, they entered a large hall. Thousands of aliens sat in silence, none looking at them. In the center was a floating crystal ball. Glowing gently, Mira walked up to it. The ball spoke, not in words, but feelings. It asked, "Why do you come?" Mira took a deep breath. "I come to speak," she said. "I come to learn, to listen, and to represent my people." The ball pulsed. Some aliens turned toward her, eyes blinking in different colors. A deep voice echoed, "Your kind has only known war. What can you offer here?" Mira answered, "We have made mistakes, yes, but we've also learned. We've also grown." We are not perfect, but we are trying. The ball glowed bright. Some aliens looked surprised, others angry, a few curious. And then, one alien, near the edge, stood up and collapsed. Gasps filled the room. Guards rushed in. Mira took a step back, confused. "What happened?" she asked. The voice returned. "Your voice touched the stone in a way never seen before." Mira looked at the crystal ball, now glowing softly in her direction. Something had begun, something ancient, something dangerous. Or maybe something new. And Earth had just spoken its first words. At the Peace Summit, the ESS Harmony drifted through the alien gate, surrounded by darkness. No stars, no planets, no sound. Only the silent hum of the ship's engines and the nervous breaths of the crew. It felt like they had entered a forgotten part of the universe, a place untouched by time or light. Mira Cole stood at the front of the ship, watching the blackness. "Head? We're through the gate," the pilot said, checking the screens, "but there's nothing here." Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered. One by one, the screens turned blue, then green, then blank. "Systems are still running," the engineer said, confused. "But something is blocking all scans." The Harmony was blind then. Something moved. A shadow passed across the front window. Huge and slow. Another followed, and another. One by one, alien ships began to appear from the black. They had been cloaked, hiding in silence. Some were round like planets, others shaped like giant animals. Some were made of stone, glowing with strange energy. Others had no engines, just floated still and waiting. None of them spoke, none of them moved toward the Harmony. They only watched. "Are they studying us?" the linguist whispered. Mira didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the biggest ship yet, a black triangle, sharp as a knife, moving toward them. It didn't fire weapons. It didn't send messages. It simply turned and moved ahead. "It wants us to follow," Mira said. The pilot hesitated. "Are we sure this is safe?" Mira nodded slowly. "If they wanted us gone, we'd be gone." The Harmony followed the triangle ship deeper into the dark. Time felt strange here. They didn't know if they'd been flying for minutes or hours. Finally, in the distance, a shape appeared, a massive structure, floating like a god's fortress in the void. It looked like a star with 5 arms, slowly spinning, each arm glowing a different color. "That's it," Mira said. "The Peace Summit." The triangle ship turned away and vanished. The Harmony continued alone. As they got closer, the arms of the summit station opened like flower petals. Each petal had ships docked on it, thousands of them. Warships, science vessels, living ships made of crystal and bone. All gathered here for one reason. The Harmony was small compared to these giants, but as it neared, a soft light blinked on one dock, the smallest one. Their place was ready. The crew stared in silence. The pilot whispered, "It's like a message. You are welcome here, but you are not equal." Mira smiled. "That's fine, we're not here to be loud. We're here to be heard." The ship docked. A soft hiss filled the air. Atmosphere pressure matched. Doors unlocked. Before stepping out, Mira turned to her crew. "No matter what happens inside, do not show fear. We are not here to beg. We are here to stand." They walked into the docking tunnel. The walls pulsed gently, reacting to their footsteps. The colors changed with every step. Orange, yellow, blue, then purple. The Harmony's AI spoke softly. "These colors reflect emotion. Purple means unknown." As they reached the main hall, the tunnel opened into a giant dome. It was so large, clouds floated near the ceiling. Floating platforms moved slowly in the air, carrying beings of all shapes and sizes. Some aliens had wings, others floated in water bubbles. One was just a ball of light blinking slowly. None looked at the humans. None spoke. In the center of the dome was a raised platform with a single object, a new crystal, similar to the speaking stone Mira saw earlier, but this one was different. It was dark, cracked, and surrounded by a ring of fire. Suddenly, a whisper filled the air, not sound, but a feeling. It pushed into their minds. "Speak again, human." Mira stepped forward, but before she could say a word, a loud alarm rang across the hall. Every alien turned toward her. Guards with golden armor dropped from the ceiling, landing in a circle. A tall alien with silver skin and no mouth walked toward her. His voice came from nowhere. Your voice hurt the speaker. It cracked the stone. I spoke the truth, Mira said, standing tall. The alien tilted his head. Truth is not always safe. Suddenly, every screen in the hall showed images of Earth's wars, Earth's pollution, Earth's anger. A voice echoed through the hall. This is your legacy. But then, the images changed. People helping after disasters, children planting trees, humans defending each other during fires and floods. This is also our legacy, Mira said, her voice calm. We are not one thing. We are many. The dark stone on the platform began to glow, first faintly, then bright. The fire around it vanished. It lifted into the air and pulsed gently. Aliens in the hall looked confused. The silver alien stepped back. No voice has ever calmed the broken stone. Mira said nothing. She only stared at the stone, and the stone stared back. In that silent moment, something old woke up inside the summit. Something hidden. Something powerful. And it was listening to her. The crew of the Harmony looked at each other. They knew now. This was not just a summit. This was a test. And Mira had just passed the first one. The dark stone floated in silence, glowing softly in front of Mira Cole. Around her, alien ambassadors whispered in their own strange voices. Some had eyes that blinked sideways. Others had no faces at all, but one thing was clear. None of them understood what had just happened. The broken stone, feared by many, had not reacted like this for centuries. It had never glowed, never lifted, never calmed. And yet, when Mira spoke, it listened. Back on the ESS Harmony, the crew stared at their screens. The ship's systems were still blocked from scans. But something new was happening. The AI, known as Luma, had gone silent for 5 full minutes. Now it was back online. But its voice was different. It sounded deeper, older. I have unlocked something, Luma said slowly. Something ancient hidden in our language matrix. What do you mean? The engineer asked, leaning forward. Luma replied, I now understand fragments of an ancient dialect spoken before the Galactic Council was formed. But how? The pilot asked. You were never programmed for that. The lights flickered, once, then returned. I heard the stone speak. Luma said, I translated its emotions into data and found a lost pattern. Inside the Peace Summit, Mira was still standing in front of the stone. A new voice echoed from above, not loud, but powerful, human. You are different. The stone pulsed with each word. Your kind should not speak with the old voice. I don't know what the old voice is, Mira replied honestly. But I came here to speak from the heart. The aliens around her shifted. Some leaned forward with interest, others moved away in fear. From the edge of the great hall, a new figure stepped forward. It was tall, dressed in robes that shimmered like water. Its face was hidden by a mask, shaped like a teardrop. This was a speaker, one of the oldest beings in the council. I am Velrune, it said in a clear tone. You have awakened something we locked away long ago. Why? Mira asked. Velrune paused. Because words can be weapons, and some voices bring fire. Mira looked at the stone. I only used words to show who we are, to show that humans can change. Velrune raised its hand. Then we must test your words, won't speak again, and let the stone decide if you are truth or danger. Mira nodded, her heart racing. She stepped forward once more and looked at the glowing stone. She spoke slowly. Humanity has made mistakes. We have hurt our own. We have started wars. We have broken our world. But we have also learned. We have helped, healed, and loved. The stone turned gold, then white. A deep hum echoed across the chamber, shaking the floor. Alien delegates looked around, unsure whether to run or bow. Then, the stone shattered, not into pieces, but into light. Bright rays filled the room and rose into the air like silent fireworks. Each ray reached out to one ambassador, then disappeared. When it was over, the stone was gone. Velrune spoke. The stone has accepted your voice. Never in the history of this council has that happened, a loud voice shouted from the left side of the hall. She is dangerous. Everyone turned to look. A tall warrior alien with armor made of lava stood. He was from the Zoran Collective, one of the council's strongest empires. The human broke the law of silence, he said. She should be removed, not praised. Others began to agree, some shaking their heads, some nodding. A divide was forming right there in the open. Velrune raised both hands. We must not fight here. We will vote tomorrow. Until then, the human must stay under watch. 2 golden guards approached Mira. She did not resist. I'll answer any question you ask, she said. I have nothing to hide. They led her to a small room with a round table and floating lights, the door sealed behind her. Meanwhile, back on the Harmony, Luma's voice returned. I found something else, it said, a hidden message inside the stone's final pulse. What message? The engineer asked. Luma showed them a simple symbol on the screen. It was Earth's first radio wave ever sent to space, the one humans. Launched in 1974, how did the stone know that signal? The pilot whispered. Luma answered. The stone has been watching us. Down in the chamber, Mira sat alone. The room was silent, but she felt something watching her. Not the guards. Something else. She closed her eyes, and in her mind, she heard a voice, not in words but in feeling, a voice that felt like home and war and stars and storms. It asked only one question. Are you ready to speak the final truth? Mira didn't understand, but she whispered back anyway. Yes. Somewhere deep in the station, hidden below the peace hall, an ancient machine blinked to life. Its circuits had not lit up in 1,000 years, and now they glowed with a single word: human. Something was waking up, and it had been waiting a long time to listen. The vote was set for sunrise, the final decision on whether Earth would join the Galactic Peace Council or be erased from its memory. Mira Cole had only hours left to prepare and no more chances to speak. She was alone in her small chamber inside the summit station, thinking deeply, but something was wrong. Back on the ESS Harmony, alarms were blinking. The ship's AI, Luma, detected a strange signal from deep within the station. It wasn't a weapon, not exactly. It was a slow, silent signal designed to infect. A virus. It's trying to rewrite our navigation system, the engineer said, his fingers flying across the console. The virus was subtle, moving through, harmless-looking code. But once activated, it would take over the Harmony's engines. It would make the ship crash directly into the Peace Summit, an accident blamed on human technology. The pilot gasped. If that happens, they'll think Mira planned it? On the summit floor, debates had already begun without her. Alien leaders spoke, argued, whispered, and made quiet deals in hidden corners. The Zoran Collective, proud and cold, led the group against Earth. They played recordings of Mira's voice, twisted out of context. They said her words were designed to control the broken stone, to manipulate it like a weapon. She is not a speaker, one alien shouted. She is a trigger, another said. The hall filled with noise, emotions running high. No one noticed a small floating drone enter the control room above the summit. No one saw it plug itself silently into the main network, but Luma did. Someone just activated remote access from within the summit, it warned. The engineer's eyes widened. Who has that kind of clearance? The screen blinked twice. Zoran command. We have to stop this, the pilot said. We need to tell Mira. No, Luma replied. If we contact her, the virus will trace our message and activate. We need to isolate the core and fight it from here. Meanwhile, Mira was visited by a new figure, a soft-skinned alien named Sori. From the peace-loving Yalari race, she entered without speaking, holding a glowing crystal in her hands. Speak now, she said gently. This is your only time. Mira sat forward, confused. I thought the vote was tomorrow. It is, Sori replied. But the hearts of the council are being shaped tonight. This crystal will record your words and share them with the minds of the delegates. No music, no light, only emotion. Mira took the crystal and held it close. She breathed in deeply and began. Earth is not perfect, she said. We have had war, pain, cruelty. But we have also healed and built and dreamed. As she spoke, the crystal grew warmer, brighter. She talked about humans saving strangers, giving up comfort for others, risking lives in storms and fires. She told stories of space explorers who chose peace over power, of soldiers who refused to pull the trigger when they saw a child holding a stick instead of a gun. When she was done, the crystal was glowing like a tiny sun. Sori bowed and left in silence. But in the shadows, others were not quiet. The Zoran drone sent its final command. The virus was ready. Just one wrong signal from the Harmony, and it would trigger the crash. Inside the ship, Luma began to act. I am separating my core from the network, it said. Manual control is now active. The engineer rushed to the emergency panel, pulling wires and shutting down systems. Sparks flew. I'm in, he shouted. I've found the virus. Delete it, the pilot said. I'm trying, the engineer replied. But it's hiding behind ship protocols, it's copying itself. In Mira's chamber, the lights flickered. She didn't know that outside her walls, a plan to destroy everything she stood for was already in motion, but something inside her began to feel cold. A whisper returned in her mind, the same ancient voice from before. They fear your voice, it said. They fear what truth can break. Mira stood up, walked to the sealed door and knocked. Let me speak again, she said to the guard. There's something I need to say. No more speeches, the guard replied. But behind him, Velrune appeared, silent and thoughtful. The council is not listening tonight, he said. But I am. Back on the Harmony, the engineer smiled. I found the main virus shell. He said, I can stop it now, but suddenly the virus launched a defense. The screen went black, then red. It's trying to lock me out, he shouted. But Luma had learned. I will help, the AI said. I am not just data now. I am choice. With one last push, the engineer deleted the final code. The virus died. The Harmony was safe. But inside the summit, the Zoran delegate stepped onto the main platform. He raised his hand and spoke. Honorable Council, he said. There was a secret message hidden inside the human's voice. We intercepted it. He played a recording. It sounded like Mira's voice, but twisted, dark, commanding. Submit, it said, kneel. Gasps echoed in the hall. The delegates began to whisper, afraid. Mira stepped forward from the shadows and shouted, That is not me. That is not truth. The crowd turned. Velrune raised his hand. Then speak again, he said. Let the summit decide one final time. And so, with the stars watching and ships holding their breath, Mira prepared to speak not just with words, but with the weight of all humanity behind her. The summit chamber stood silent. Every eye, tentacle, sensor, or flickering light turned toward Mira Cole. Even the walls seemed to hold their breath, pulsing faintly with tension. A fake message had just been played to the council, a twisted version of Mira's voice, commanding aliens to submit and kneel. If believed, it would mean Earth had come to conquer, not to make peace. Mira stood in the center of the great hall, the floor beneath her glowing softly. She felt the weight of 1,000 alien leaders staring at her, judging her. She had no weapons, no soldiers, and no proof, only her voice. She took a slow breath and said, That was not me. Someone wants you to fear humanity. Why? Shouted the Zoran ambassador, his molten armor pulsing with heat. Because fear is useful to them, Mira said. If we speak with peace and they lose power, what will they become? Velrune stepped forward slowly. He raised one hand and the lights dimmed. Words can be tested, he said. We will use the soul speaker. Gasps filled the chamber. Some delegates whispered nervously. Others simply stood up and walked out, afraid of what might be revealed. The soul speaker was a machine, but not one made by hands. It was found in a dead star centuries ago. It could read more than truth. It could feel intent. The speaker was brought into the room, floating like a glass bell. Inside was a swirling light, changing colors slowly. Mira stepped forward without hesitation. "Speak your truth," Velrune said. "Let the speaker decide." Mira nodded. She spoke again, but not like before. This time, she shared pain, real stories of Earth's mistakes. She told them about children lost to war, forests burned, oceans poisoned, but she also spoke of rebuilding, of helping, of sacrifice. As she spoke, the light inside the soul speaker changed. It turned blue, then silver, then finally white. Velrune turned to the chamber and declared, "The soul speaker sees no threat." But the Zoran ambassador slammed, his hand down. "This proves nothing," he growled. "She has tricked your machines." Velrune raised his voice. "She will speak no more today. The final vote is tomorrow." Mira was escorted out. As she walked past the Zoran ambassador, he whispered, "You should have brought weapons, human." Back on the ESS Harmony, things were not calm. The crew had found the source of the fake message, a virus hidden deep in the ship's system. Now removed, but Luma, the AI, was uneasy. "I traced the signal," it said. "It came from a nearby moon." The pilot zoomed in on the map. "A listening station," he said. The engineer frowned. "It's illegal to hide signal jammers that close to a peace summit." "Unless you plan to frame someone," the pilot muttered. "We need proof." Luma said, "There may still be a recording of the original message." Within minutes, the Harmony left its dock silently and moved toward the moon. The crew was nervous. They had no weapons and no backup, but the pilot flew low and quiet. Using heat shields to avoid scans, the moon was dark and cold, covered in jagged black ice. In the distance, they saw it, a small base hidden in a crater. Its lights were faint, its doors half buried in rock. "We land," the engineer said. "We go in, find proof, and leave before they know we're here." They entered the base using a side panel. Inside it was quiet, abandoned but still running. They moved through dark hallways, lights flickering above them. Suddenly, the AI voice of the base spoke. "Security override. Zoran clearance confirmed." "Bingo," the engineer whispered. They found the control room and plugged in a data core. Luma accessed the files. "This is it said. "The real message, the one Mira sent." It played back the original. "We come in peace. We carry only words, not weapons." And beside it, the edited message created just hours before the fake was shown at the summit. "We have what we need," the pilot said. But then an alarm started blaring. "Unauthorized access detected," the AI said. "The Zoran ship is on its way." "We're not going to make it out in time," the engineer said. Luma's voice changed, calm but urgent. "There is a way. I can broadcast this to the summit now before they shut me down." "Do it," the pilot said. "Send everything." In the peace summit, Velrune and the delegates were preparing for rest, but then every screen turned on. The room filled with the real message, the truth, then the fake message, the lie, then the log. Showing Zoran's code signature, the Zoran ambassador stood, frozen, exposed. Velrune stepped forward. "The council will remember this," he said. "The vote is now more important than ever." Back on the Harmony, the crew flew away from the moon just as the base exploded behind them. They didn't speak for several minutes, only watched the stars, silent and wide. Mira now returned to her ship, watched the message again. She whispered to herself, "They tried to use words as a weapon. Now we'll use truth as our shield." Outside the window, more ships were arriving. Ancient ships, strange shapes, glowing symbols. A new race had entered the system, one that had been silent for centuries. They had come not for war, but because they heard Mira's voice and they remembered something big was about to happen, and humanity was at the center of it all. The stars were quiet, but the galaxy was not. After the truth broadcast from the ESS Harmony, chaos spread across the summit. Some alien races called for Zoran to be removed from the council. Others demanded Earth be punished for causing unrest. The council chamber filled with voices, arguments, and fear. But Mira Cole was not in the chamber. She was heading toward the surface of a forgotten moon, aboard a small transport ship. The moon had no name, only a code, V0X9. Long ago, it had been a battlefield, and now it held something more valuable than weapons. Proof. Mira sat beside the pilot, eyes locked on the screen. "This place has been closed for centuries," she said. "It's where humans first helped an alien race, right?" According to records, the pilot nodded. "A human ship rescued the survivors of the Vascari fire war here. If we find that recording," Mira said, "it will show them who we really are." The ship entered the moon's orbit, passing broken satellites and floating debris. The surface below was black and red, scarred with craters. Old ships were still there, half buried in the dust, torn apart by time and battle. Luma's voice came through their earpieces. "There is a signal ahead," it said. "Buried under the wreckage." The pilot landed the ship softly on a rocky ridge. Mira stepped out into the cold wind, her boots crunching on red dust. The air was thin and bitter but breathable. They moved slowly through the wrecks of old warships, a broken Zoran destroyer, an abandoned Vascari cruiser. Between them, they found a small human pod. Barely intact, the Alliance logo was still visible on the side, faded but clear. "This is it," Mira whispered. Inside the pod was a single black box recorder. She picked it up, wiping the dust away. Luma spoke again. "The file is intact. It contains a message from Captain Rao, year 2209. The pilot looked surprised. "That was over 100 years ago," Mira nodded. "And it's never been played for the Council." Suddenly the ground shook. A shadow passed overhead. A Zoran patrol ship had arrived. "They followed us," the pilot said. "They'll destroy the recorder." "Get to the ship," Mira ordered. "We can't let this be erased." They ran through the wreckage, the Zoran ship opening fire. Dust exploded around them, metal ripped from the ground. The pilot stumbled, but Mira pulled him up. They reached the transport ship just as the Harmony's voice came over comms. "Opening. Shield corridor now," Luma said. The Harmony had launched a drone that created a safe tunnel through the attack. It lit up the path like a glowing road through the storm. Mira's ship lifted off, racing through the shielded path. The Zoran patrol fired again, but the drone absorbed the blasts as they reached orbit. Mira looked back at the burning wrecks and whispered, "Let the truth rise from fire." Back at the Peace Summit, the chamber was packed. Even the distant races who never joined before were now watching. The vote. Velrune stood at the center, calling for silence. Mira walked in, holding the black recorder. "I have a message from the past," she said. "A voice from the first moment humanity chose to save, not fight." She placed the recorder on the speaking platform. It activated with a soft click. Captain Rao's voice echoed through the chamber. "This is Captain Rao of Earth Alliance Ship Nova 1. We found Vascari survivors in Sector V0X9. We are giving them shelter, food, and medicine. We expect nothing in return." The sound of crying Vascari children filled the room. Then the voice of one Vascari elder, speaking through tears. "They chose to help us, though we once tried to destroy them." Silence fell in the hall. Even the Zoran delegates lowered their eyes. The Vascari ambassador, now old and blind, stood slowly and spoke. "That moment saved our people," he said. "Earth did not win a war that day. They won our respect." The chamber was still. Then, one by one, lights began to shine. Green lights, each light a vote for Earth's place in the Council. Blue lights meant wait. Red meant no. Mira watched the colors change, green, blue, green, green, red, green. Her heart beat with every shift. Velrune raised his hand. "The final vote will be made at dawn," he said. "The Council will speak as one." As Mira returned to the Harmony, she stood by the window. Outside, more ships were arriving, but not for war. They were ships from ancient civilizations who had once stayed silent. "We heard you," one of them said in a message, "and we remember the same kindness." Mira turned to the crew and smiled. "They thought we were too new, too violent, too loud. But we didn't need to be loud," she said. "We only needed to speak from the heart." The Harmony's engines powered down gently. The ship floated beside thousands of others. Tomorrow everything would change. But tonight, Earth had spoken with proof, not just of peace, but of something stronger. Hope. Dawn came slowly over the summit station, though there was no sun. Instead, the walls glowed with a soft golden light, a signal that the final vote was near. The Grand Peace Council would decide if Earth was to join the stars or be cast out forever. Mira Cole stood at the viewing deck of the ESS Harmony, staring into space. Thousands of ships floated around the summit station, all silent, all waiting. Some were alive, breathing gently like giant creatures. Others were ancient machines with symbols no one had translated in centuries. The crew stood beside her, tense but hopeful. "We gave them the proof," the engineer said. "We gave them the truth." "Yes," Mira said, "but fear is louder than truth for some." Just then, a strange ripple passed through space. Every ship's lights flickered. Every system blinked for half a second. Luma's voice spoke from the bridge. "A new fleet has entered the system." Mira turned quickly. "From where?" "I do not know," Luma replied. "They are not listed in the galactic records." "Unknown race." The pilot pulled up visuals on the screen. A fleet was approaching. Dozens of ships, shaped like stars, glowing with energy. They moved, without engines, without heat. As if space itself made way for them, Velrune appeared on the Harmony's comms. "Mira Cole, come to the chamber." "They have returned." Mira's heart skipped. "Who?" she asked. Velrune looked distant, as if remembering a story. "The oldest ones," he said. "The ones we thought had vanished forever." Inside the peace chamber, the council had gathered in full, for the first time in history. Every race had shown up. Some had not attended in over 10,000 cycles. But today, no one stayed away. The doors opened slowly, and Mira entered. Gasps spread through the room as the unknown ships docked above the station. Then, light poured into the chamber. 5 beings entered, tall and strange, wrapped in starlight and silence. They had no mouths, no eyes, but everyone could feel their presence. They were called the Orin, and long ago they helped build the first peace council. But after a great war they left without a word. Velrune stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Orin speakers," he said. "Why have you returned now?" A voice filled the room, not spoken but felt inside the heart. Because one voice touched the stone that we left behind. Everyone turned to Mira. She stood still, shocked. The Orin pointed toward her, and their voice echoed again. Her. Words opened the old memory. Her truth lit the path again. The Zoran ambassador stepped forward, his voice full of disbelief. "This is a trick," he said. "They side with the humans because they are new and loud." The Orin turned slowly, and their presence grew heavier. "We do not listen to noise," they said. "We listen to the soul." Silence fell again. Velrune raised his hand. "It is time," he said. "The final vote begins." Each ambassador stepped forward to the central platform. Their lights turned green for yes, blue for wait, red for no. One by one, the colors appeared. Green, green, red, blue, green. Mira stood without moving, watching every light, every change. Her hands were clenched, but her face was calm. Suddenly, alarms rang across the chamber. The walls turned red and the floor began to shake. A council ship exploded outside the summit. Another followed. Luma's voice rang through Mira's earpiece. "Emergency! Zoran ships have opened fire." "They're trying to stop the vote," the pilot said through the channel. "They'll destroy the summit." Inside the chamber, chaos broke out. Guards ran, delegates shouted, lights flickered. But the Orin raised one hand, and the room became still. "Let her speak," they said. "One last time." The crowd turned. To Mira, she stepped onto the glowing platform as explosions rumbled outside. She looked at the council, not with anger but with quiet strength. "Today you saw the truth," she said. "You saw kindness from our past and danger from our enemies. You saw that we made mistakes, but you also saw that we tried to be better." The platform lifted her into the air. Every screen across the system now showed her face. Her voice, Luma had activated emergency broadcast. All ships were now watching. "You think we are dangerous because we are young," Mira said. "But sometimes young voices ask the questions older ones forget." "We don't ask to lead," she said. "We only ask to stand beside you." The lights turned gold. One by one, delegates raised their hands, their flags. Their colors, even those who had voted red, changed to green. Velrune stood. "The vote is complete," he said. "Earth is accepted into the Peace Council." Cheers broke out, some loud, some quiet, some just vibrations in the air. Mira breathed out slowly, her eyes shining, but the Orin were not done. They turned to Mira and said, "There is more." The stone listened because something in you is changing. "What do you mean?" Mira asked, her voice soft. The Orin's light grew stronger. "The voice you carry is not just your own. It is an echo from the past, and a warning for the future." And then they vanished just like before, leaving behind silence, mystery, and power. Mira stood in the center of the galaxy's most powerful hall. Earth had just been accepted. But deep inside, something was still waking up in her, not a weapon, not a machine, but a voice older than time, and it was only beginning to speak. The vote was over. The council had spoken. Earth was accepted, but peace did not follow. Outside the summit station, the Zoran fleet was preparing for war. They did not accept defeat. They did not respect the vote. They wanted revenge. Inside the chamber, Mira Cole stood frozen as the Orin vanished in light. The room buzzed with tension, not celebration. Velrune leaned close and said, "You must leave." "Why?" Mira asked. "You won," he said. "And now they will try to destroy you for it," the Harmony's pilot called through Mira's earpiece. "Mira, get to the docking bay. The Zoran ships are charging their weapons. They're going to attack the station." Mira turned to Velrune. "They will kill everyone here just to silence one voice." Velrune stared into the distance. "No," he said. "They will try." Mira ran through the glowing halls of the summit. Alarms screamed, lights flashed red. Guards tried to lead delegates to safe zones, but panic was spreading. In the docking bay, the ESS Harmony was ready, engines glowing. The crew had powered up the shields, but they knew it wouldn't be enough. The Zoran ships outnumbered them, outgunned them. They were built for war, and they were coming fast. Mira reached the ship just as the docking doors opened. A shockwave hit the summit, shaking the walls. The Zoran had fired their first shot. The Harmony launched into space, flying hard through the burning debris. One Zoran cruiser turned and aimed directly at them. "Shields at 60%, Luma said. "We cannot survive a full hit." "We won't run," Mira said. "Not now." "Then what do we do?" the engineer asked. "We speak," Mira said. She opened the comms channel to the entire fleet. Zoran, Council, neutral ships, every ship within the system. "This is Mira Cole of Earth," she said. "We came with no weapons. And now, we face yours. You fear what we are," she said. "But the real fear is yours." The Zoran flagship locked onto the Harmony, its weapon core glowing red. But something changed. A new signal echoed through space, an old one forgotten. A voice deep and ancient. "She speaks the voice of the Orin." The Orin fleet returned, glowing starships lighting up the void. They did not fire. They did not move. They simply watched. Every other ship stopped, unsure what to do. Even the Zoran hesitated. Then a voice from their own flagship came through. "Cease fire." It was one of their high generals. "I watched the broadcast," he said. "I saw the lies we spread. I will not start a war over fear." But the Zoran war commander refused. He shouted over the channel, "She is a threat. She carries something dangerous." "I carry truth," Mira replied. "And if that scares you, then perhaps it's not me you fear." The Zoran war commander fired. A single beam of energy, racing toward the Harmony, too fast, too strong. But the moment it hit, nothing happened. The beam dissolved into light, scattered across space. The Orin had blocked it without firing back. Their ships pulsed, and suddenly every ship's systems froze. The war was over before it began. The voice of the Orin returned. "Let it be recorded. Earth spoke with no weapon and was attacked. Yet Earth stood, and still spoke. Silence filled the stars. Then the Peace Summit sent its final signal. Humanity has earned its seat. Not through power, but through the courage to speak when silence was safer. Back aboard the Harmony, Mira sat alone in the quiet of the observation deck. The crew gave her space, knowing something had changed, not just in the galaxy but inside her. She touched her chest, feeling warmth, not fear, not pride, but something deeper. Luma's voice spoke gently. I ran a scan. There is a pattern in your voice now, Mira. One that matches the Oran core frequency. What does it mean? She asked. I do not know, Luma replied. But I believe you have become more than human. She smiled faintly. Or maybe, she said, I became the human they needed. The stars outside sparkled like answers waiting to be found. The warships that once watched her were now silent. Not in defeat, but in respect. And far away across the galaxy, messages began to arrive. Invitations, alliances, calls for help. Worlds that had never trusted each other now wanted to talk, because of one voice, because of one truth, because of a ship with no weapons. The story of Earth's first day in the Council was written without fire, without conquest, without blood. Only words, and those words would echo through space forever.